So my name is Jess Pinkerton. Steve and I opened CrossFit Vitality 9 years ago, and it's always been our goal and our main mission to help our members get to optimal health and fitness. And you guys are already doing a big part of that because I see you down there, either EvoFit, CrossFit, personal training. You've got the physical activity part down, but the nutrition part is of equal value. Okay, so it's really important. We would be doing a disservice if we didn't do these occasional challenges, sugar detoxes, have the nutrition counseling available, because nutrition is really 80% of the puzzle when it comes to physique change, body composition change, overall health, energy, mood, all those things. It comes down to how we're fueling our body. So in the past, we've used the month of September to do kind of an informal paleo challenge. Once kids are back to school, summer's coming to an end, and we have a pretty good turnout for that. But this year, I wanted to get just back to the basics, okay? So I said, what if we just cut out added sugars? Okay, so I think you guys can do it. It's 4 weeks. It's a very small window of time in the whole lifespan. But if you have done paleo in the past and you know it well and you've had success with paleo, or if you've done the ketogenic diet in the past and you know it well and you've had success with keto, you could make this a 4-week paleo challenge or a 4-week keto challenge. I'm here to support you in whatever way you want to go. But the thing that all 3 of those diets have in common is the very low or no added sugars and the real whole foods. So that's got to be at the backbone of no matter what diet or nutrition plan you decide to go with. So I want to start off by just telling you guys that sugar is everywhere. Okay, there are over 600,000 food items out there in grocery stores, and 80% of them contain added sugar. 80%. That means only 20% don't. So that's going to mean you guys really have to be detectives for cutting out added sugars over the next 4 weeks. Okay, there's not a lot of products out there. One option is just to not eat anything that has a label on it. Okay, but the other option is we get good at reading food labels, and that's what I want to make sure everybody leaves tonight feeling confident looking at food labels and kind of understanding what they say. So obviously foods like soda, candy, donuts, all of these things we know have added sugar. But we'd be surprised to find that salad dressings, most of them are loaded with sugar. Sauces, so if we think about honey mustard, ketchup, barbecue sauce, sweet relish, all of those things loaded with added sugars. Even foods that have natural sugars in them. So fruits and vegetables also have natural sugars. Milk and dairy products have lactose, which is the dairy form of sugar, even though it's a natural sugar. And then of course, grains, breads, rice, pasta, all of those break down to simple sugars in our body as well. So the ones that we're allowing on our detox are these at the bottom. We're going to talk more about that, but we're definitely cutting out all the added sugars. All right, so we really have to delve into what a carbohydrate is to kind of understand all this. So carbohydrates is a huge macronutrient category. Okay, it encompasses all fiber, all starch, and all sugar. So a lot of things there in that category. It includes breads, pasta, cereal, grains, rice, candy and soda, fruits, and vegetables. And I always like to put these in 2 different categories. A lot of people will say, well, eat your fruits and vegetables, like it's all one thing. But they're really very different. Vegetables have a lot more fiber, they have a lot more macronutrients, so vitamins and minerals, and they have a lot less sugar than fruits. Okay, fruits will also have some fiber and some micronutrients, but they're going to have a lot more sugar with them, the natural sugar, fructose, that's in fruit. So if you look at these molecules, this is a simple sugar molecule. So this is what we find in candy and soda and fruit. Over here we see a complex carbohydrate or a complex chain of sugar molecules. So that's what would be in like our potatoes, white potatoes, sweet potatoes, whole grain breads, and vegetables are going to have a more complex chain. But all of them are broken down in our body to a simple sugar called glucose. So whether it's coming from a carrot or a Pop-Tart or a potato or a piece of bread or a soda, it's all broken down into the same thing in our digestive tract. And sugars are the easiest source of energy for our body. So if we think of an analogy of a campfire, the sugar is like the kindling. So we can think of that like the little sticks, the pieces of newspaper, they get the fire burning. It burns really hot, but it burns out really quickly. So if you think about a standard American breakfast, maybe a bowl of cereal with skim milk, a banana on top, a glass of orange juice on the side, that's all carbohydrate. So you might feel good for about an hour after eating that, but by the time you get to work or the gym or school, you are going to be hungry again, maybe even a little bit lightheaded, have a little hypoglycemia, and you're going to be craving more sugar, more carbs. Okay, whereas if you had something with fat in it, we want to think of fat as like our log on the fire. That's going to burn a lot longer and a lot cleaner. Same with protein. Fats and proteins in the breakfast will definitely make you feel much better throughout the day. All right, so what happens when we eat sugar? So it's used to fuel activity and brain function. So that's very important. The more active we are, the more sugar or carbohydrates we can get away with. But if we eat more than we need for our activity, the first way sugar is stored is in our muscle and liver glycogen. So glycogen is the storage form of glucose or sugar, but it only takes about a cup of pasta worth of sugar. So you can see that right here, 1 cup of pasta to fill up our liver and glycogen stores. Okay, after those are full, any carbs we eat in excess of that is going to be stored as fat. And our body's very good at doing that because it's a very primal mechanism. Our ancestors didn't know when their next meal was coming. Okay, so they became really good at storing excess energy as fat to use at a later time. But when we fast forward to today, there is a gas station on every corner, a vending machine down every hall. We really don't have times when we don't have sugar and carbs available. And it's interesting, our body has a really important mechanism that controls our blood sugar so that we only have about a teaspoon of sugar in our bloodstream at any time. Okay, so a teaspoon is about 5 grams of sugar. We all know what a spoonful looks like. Anything in excess of that is first going to be stored as muscle liver glycogen, then it's going to be stored and converted to fat, excess body fat. So the reason is if there's excess sugar in our blood vessels, it really wreaks havoc, okay? It causes inflammation. We're going to talk about that more in a minute, but that's anything above that 5 teaspoons there, or excuse me, 1 teaspoon, 5 grams. So the mechanism that this happens is because of a hormone called insulin. So insulin is our storage hormone. It's secreted from our pancreas when we have these sugar molecules present in our blood, more than the 5 gram limit, okay? So when that happens, insulin, which is signified by this little I, and it looks like a key, because insulin is the key that unlocks our cells and allows the sugar to be taken up into the cells and be stored for later. Again, that's a really important thing because we don't want to have excess sugar hanging out in our blood vessels. But what happens when insulin is chronically high, it's kind of like putting a lock on our fat stores. So if we think about the stored energy we have on our bodies, it's like a refrigerator, right? It should be there so that when we need it, we can pull from it. But when insulin is chronically elevated, like on a standard American diet, when we're continually taking in carbs every few hours throughout the day, we are not able to access that refrigerator. So it's like being locked up with a padlock on it. And so we're hungry every few hours, even though there's excess calories on our body that we could be burning. The other thing that happens when insulin is high is we don't get the fullness signal to our brain. So there's an important hormone called leptin that communicates from our fat cells to our brain saying, we're good, we're satisfied, we don't need anything else right now. And then you feel satiated. But when insulin is chronically elevated, we don't get that leptin signaling. Okay, so that reverses quickly when we cut the sugar back in our diet. So excess sugar is associated with many of the chronic diseases of society that we're suffering from. Heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, cancers, tooth decay, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and even Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is actually being known as type 3 diabetes, or insulin resistance of the brain. So it's really interesting research being done there. But you can see, guys, what a normal, clean, healthy blood vessel looks like there. It's slick. Blood can easily travel through it. When we have sugar in our diet, or excess sugar in our diet, it's kind of like a Brillo pad scratching against that nice, clean surface. And when that happens, it makes little cuts that cause inflammation. And the inflammation is what causes plaque to build up, and that's where we're talking about heart disease. Okay, so it's really not the fat, it's not the saturated fat, it's not the cholesterol, it's really the inflammation that's caused by excess sugar. Okay, so interesting statistic, 75% of our healthcare dollars go to the treatment of these type of diseases. It was $190 billion per year. So that's a lot of money that we could have back in the government if we had a more healthy society. And I really do believe that sugar is one of the main causes of all of these chronic diseases. So what are some other negatives associated? Well, the blood sugar roller coaster. This is what we talked about with the standard American breakfast. You know, you're feeling good for a while, then you have low energy and you crash. You have another source of easy digested, easy utilized carbs. You feel good for a little bit and you want more. Okay, we want to keep the blood sugar and the insulin steady all day so we can avoid those highs and lows. The effects on physical performance. Okay, and I know you guys are all either CrossFitters or EvoFitters, you're all very active, so you have that competitive side. Sugar is a toxin. It's a toxin to our liver, it's a toxin to our body. If we have high sugar, the added sugar in our diet, we are not going to be able to perform out there the way we want to. Okay, so it's a night and day difference in performance when you cut the added sugars out of your diet. I always like to show the CrossFit hierarchy. This is from our CrossFit founder, Greg Glassman. You can see nutrition is the very base of everything else we do in CrossFit. Okay, if you don't have a solid nutritional base, nothing else is going to be optimal. Sugar is a nutrient thief. So this is an important one too. Sugar binds to the same receptor sites as vitamin C, calcium, and magnesium. Okay, so one thing that I think is really interesting, have any of you realized cold and flu season always happens kind of like at the coldest months of the year? And we think, well, it's because it's cold outside. That's when we're getting sick. And really, our immune systems are heightened in the cold. We should not be getting sick as much as in the cold weather as we do in the warm weather. But the reason is that those months of the year, starting in October, is when we consume the most sugar as a society. So starting with Halloween, going into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then going through Valentine's Day. We're feeding our kids a ton of sugar, ton of sugary drinks, and what happens is that sugar competes for the same receptor sites as vitamin C. And a lot of us know vitamin C is a very immune boosting vitamin. So because of that, our immune system is compromised. So you'll definitely see by the end of this 4 weeks, you guys will get sick less often, which is a really good thing. We all don't want to be sick very often. And then the effects on brain chemistry. I mean, this is a crazy thing. This is an MRI showing the brain when someone has consumed sugar and cocaine. So the same centers in the brain light up in response to sugar as they do to cocaine. And it's a known fact now, research has shown that sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Crazy, right? So that's why I'm going to explain a little bit about the carb flu that happens or the sugar withdrawals when we do something like this, because our body really wants it. We're used to having it at regular intervals, and when we take it away, there's going to be some rebelling going on. So as long as you're prepared to handle that, you guys will be fine, and it doesn't last long, I promise. All right, so too much sugar. Americans consume an average of 150 pounds of sugar. This is added sugar, again, so it's not naturally occurring in products, it's added sugar per year. So if you guys think of these 5-pound bags you can buy at the grocery store, imagine 30 of those piled up. That's what one American, on average, consumes in a year. It equates to 22 teaspoons a day. And I love teaspoons because it's something we can all visualize, right? We all know what a spoonful looks like. Grams, like we see on nutrition labels, are very abstract. How many people can visualize what 5 grams of sugar looks like? It's not as easy, but we can all visualize teaspoons. So I'm going to refer to a lot of this in teaspoons and give you some different stats. So 22 teaspoons a day is the average American's consumption when the recommendation for optimal health, the daily limit by the American Heart Association, is 9 teaspoons or less for men and 6 teaspoons or less for women, okay? So an important thing, if you guys don't take anything else away tonight, I want you to learn this conversion. A teaspoon of sugar is equivalent to about 4 grams of sugar. Okay, a teaspoon is 4 grams. So if, as a woman, I can have 6 teaspoons of added sugar a day, that would equate to 6 times 4 or 24 or about 25 grams. Okay, as a man, 9 teaspoons of sugar times 4, about 36 grams. So that's going to be helpful when you're looking at a food label, because again, it's in grams, not teaspoons. So the World Health Organization, the WHO, their limit is 25 grams for both men and females, so men and women, so 6 teaspoons across the board. The FDA is 50 grams for both men and women. So it's kind of all over the place, so I kind of went with the middle. This is kind of where I think most people should be. This isn't during the challenge, of course, because that's 0 added sugars, but in general, this is our recommendation. So just some statistics that I think you guys should know. Since 1977, Americans have doubled their daily intake of sugar. And that's kind of an important time because that's right before the USDA dietary guidelines were first published. And if you guys remember that, the pyramid with all the grains at the bottom, 6 to 11 servings, that's when they told us fat is bad for you, replace it with carbohydrates. So we started eating a ton more sugar and carbs. An 8-year-old in today's society has already consumed as much sugar as a person living a century ago consumed in their whole entire life. Crazy. The percentage of obese children has more than tripled since the 1970s. So sad. Again, there's that 1970s, right around when the food guide pyramid was published. The U.S. has provided over $8 billion in subsidies in corn-based sweeteners since 1995. So this is kind of getting to the root of the problem. I don't want to get into a lot of the politics tonight, but this is why we're surrounded by sugar. Our government is producing a ton of high fructose corn syrup in general, so it's in everything. It's in all these products out there. 95% of Americans will be overweight or obese by 2034. That is 16 years from now. 95%. 5% will be healthy. That's crazy. 1/3 of Americans will have diabetes by 2050. And this is the first generation of children that will have shorter lifespans than their parents. Crazy. In all of human history, each generation has been, on average, living longer than the generation before. And this is the first time that won't be the case. So we've got to change. We're doing something wrong. All right? So good. Going back to the recommendations, okay? 9 teaspoons of added sugar for men, 6 teaspoons of added sugar for women. Let's look at some products that have sugar in them. So an 8-ounce can of soda, 9 teaspoons. There's your sugar allotment for the day. Candy bar, 8 teaspoons. A serving of ice cream, 5 teaspoons. And this one I always like to point out. A serving of ice cream is half a cup. Half a cup. Who eats half a cup of ice cream? Nobody. So it's going to be double that at least. So 10 teaspoons of sugar, most likely for most of us, or more. A small Starbucks drink, 11 teaspoons of sugar, and even orange juice. So we're going to talk about juice and how, yes, it may be natural from the fruit sugar, the fructose in the fruit, but when you juice something, all the fiber is removed. Okay, so you're basically getting just a straight pump of sugar into your bloodstream, and it's really not good for you. So for the challenge, juice is definitely going to be off. 6 teaspoons of sugar in a cup of orange juice. So here's some more just kind of pictures that you guys can see. Each of these cubes equates to 1 teaspoon of sugar. So we know the sugary drinks are loaded with them. Red Bulls, even we have like orange juice here, lemonade, sugary snacks like cookies, Oreos. But we're also showing down here the sugar that's naturally in fruit. So, I mean, there's a lot of added sugar in these products. Ketchup is a big one. That's one thing we're going to have to talk about sauces, because I know we're going to have to swap things out. 1 little squirt of ketchup, so about a tablespoon of ketchup, has a teaspoon of sugar. Okay? Same thing with barbecue sauce. A squirt of barbecue sauce has 2 teaspoons of sugar. So those are the kind of things we really need to cut out for the detox. Some other sugar shockers, and again, remember in the back of your mind, 36 grams limit for men, 25 grams limit for women. A 6-ounce container of Greek yogurt has 23 grams of sugar. A protein bar, on average, 15 grams of sugar. Corn muffin, 30 grams. A cup of cereal, 19 grams. The barbecue sauce, again, 2 ounces, 22 grams. And then a quarter cup of craisins, 29 grams. I saw some information recently that a half a cup of raisins is actually 150 grapes. 150! So it's no wonder there's 29 grams of sugar there.
Is that because of the added sugar or just the process?
No, it's just taking, when you take all the water out, it's a very concentrated sugar. Yeah, that would be how much is in 150 grapes. So I do want to take a minute to show you guys part of a documentary. If you get a chance, you should watch this, the full thing, but it's called Fed Up. And the part I'm going to show you really describes kind of a sample day and how much sugar is in this person's diet throughout the day. And what I want you to watch is on the left-hand side, there's going to be kind of a barometer there that's going to show as the sugar increases. Okay, and you're going to see a red line at that 6 to 9 gram limit, and you're going to see how quickly, it's actually even after breakfast, that child is already over that limit. So yeah, let me quickly change this. All right, here we go.
Good morning. I'm just getting ready to go to school this morning. I just ate some cereal. Sweet on the tip of my tongue. You taste like sunlight and strawberry bubble gum. I have everything I need here to make my healthy lunch. Some peanut butter.
So 10 years of sugar in the morning, sugar in the evening, sugar at supper time, you've got this veritable tsunami of obesity and metabolic disease we see today.
So that's all I'm going to show, but this is a great documentary. If you do have a chance to watch it, it's called Fed Up. Lots of great information and statistics in there. But you can see how quickly we reached not only the limit, but surpassed that daily limit with things that we didn't even think were probably that bad in the first place. So good. I want to see if you guys can tell me one of the 3 most common sources of added sugar in the American diet. Does anybody have one idea? Well, some of them are obvious. Most of them are obvious.
Soda.
So soda, great. That is the first one. Very clear. Soda's got a ton of added sugar. Candy is the second one. And the third one, a lot of people don't really understand or realize, but it's juice, like we talked about. There's a lot of, especially kids, that we're giving a lot of juice to, and it really is too much sugar. So what are the best ways to minimize sugar in our diet? Well, the things we need to avoid, soft drinks, of course, fruit juice, candy and sweets, baked goods, fruits that are canned in syrup. So a lot of fruit is going to have that excess sugar if it's got the water kind of syrup with it. And then low fat and reduced fat foods. So a lot of people don't realize that, but back in the 80s when we started taking all the fat out of products, manufacturers really started adding the sugars because there was no taste to it. It just didn't taste good. So don't avoid the low fat and reduced fat foods at all costs, okay? Because they're gonna have the most added sugars with them. All right, so the first thing we can do is rethink what we're drinking, okay? Because Gatorade, 9 teaspoons of sugar, we know that's over the limit for both men and women. Even a juice box, right? Guys, this is 100% juice, it's organic, but it's got 6 teaspoons of sugar in it. So again, our limit for ladies and very close to the limit for men. And then of course we talked about the Starbucks drink and all the sugary sodas. We've got to replace them. So what are gonna be some good options for the challenge? All of these things, okay? Obviously water is gonna be the best option, but both Dasani and LaCroix make a great sparkling water that is flavored, but it has no natural or artificial sweetener in it. So it's not sweet, it's not like soda, it's just kind of like a carbonated flavored water. Unsweet tea is fine, no sweet tea. I know we're in the South. Don't hate me, but yes, we can't do the sweet tea for the challenge. So unsweet tea, we could do hot herbal tea if you like a green tea or something like that. Coffee, we can of course do it black. We could also put heavy cream, half and half, or unsweetened coconut oil, or unsweetened coconut milk, or unsweetened almond milk. Would all be good if you don't like black coffee.
You said heavy cream, half and half, or what?
Unsweetened coconut milk or unsweetened almond milk. And I have that again on another slide so you can see. And then hint water, if you don't like carbonated water, it's a flat water that just has a hint of natural flavor. So any of these would be good, but we're gonna definitely stay away from anything that's sweetened, whether naturally sweetened or artificially sweetened. So that's all of your diet sodas, your Coke Zero sugar, this ice drink that's flavored with sucralose, the Bai waters and the Zevias, all of these have some type of sweetener in them. And when we're trying to retrain our taste buds to not crave the sugar anymore, so to not want super hyper palatably sweet foods. So we have to get rid of the sweeteners as well. Some other products, anything sugar-free, pretty much. So sugar-free Jell-O, sugar-free pudding. Russell Stover's makes a whole line of sugar-free candies. They're all sweetened with some type of artificial sweetener or sugar alcohol that is going to make us continue to crave sugary things. So here are all the sweeteners that we have to avoid. We're going to talk about reading a nutrition label, but you'll see a combination of many of these if you look at the back of any sugar-free product. Okay, so sorry.
Is that last, I can't see that last one, is that monk fruit?
Monk fruit. So yeah, that's a sweetener as well. Just for the duration, one month or 4 weeks. So one exception that we are going to make, because we are a gym, and I know a lot of you need to get in protein. You can't always get to a full home-cooked meal right after your workout, and if you have the goal of muscle gain, we do need to have a protein option. So I love this SFH Pure Whey because it's from grass-fed whey, and it only has 1 gram of sugar and is sweetened with stevia. There's no sugar in the ingredients, which you can't really see that well down here, but that gram of sugar is coming from lactose, the milk sugar in the whey, so it's not an added sugar, and stevia is what sweetens it. You do not have to go out and buy this one. If you can find another brand that you like, it tastes good to you, it only has 1 gram of sugar, and it's sweetened with stevia, I think that would be great for the challenge. It won't give you those sugar cravings that we're trying to avoid. Okay, so some other things we can do with the protein powder, because it can be a convenient meal replacement. If you're going to do clean juice after a workout, any of these 3 options would be challenge compliant. So the anytime one, post-training one, or muscle gain one, no added sugar there, but they're going to give you the right amount of protein. So a female would want the small, male the large. If you're going to make a protein smoothie at home, this could be a great meal replacement, a great breakfast. You could do the 1 to 2 scoops of the Stronger, Faster, Healthier protein, a big handful of spinach, a scoop of sugar-free, no sugar added nut butter, half a cup of frozen berries, and then either unsweetened almond or coconut milk. Blend that up, and that will be pretty filling and satisfying. That could be a lunch, that could be a dinner, that could be a snack, a breakfast. You can also use the protein in oatmeal or plain yogurt. Those are going to be compliant as well. The only thing with oatmeal, it can't be the packets that already have all the sugar added. It's just plain old-fashioned oats. And then you'd add the protein after. Instead of adding like honey or maple syrup, it's going to give you just a little bit of sweetness. Add some fruit to it, even some nuts if you wanted, and that could be a good breakfast. Same thing with a plain yogurt. Again, no added sugar yogurt. Add the protein and some fruit, and that can be a good meal as well. All right, so let's talk about food labels. Okay, so this example is a low-fat vanilla yogurt. Okay, and the most important part of the label is right here in the carbohydrate section. All right, so it's going to have total carbs, and then it will break down, because remember, carbs include fibers, sugars, and starches, okay? So it's going to list the fibers and the sugars. Now, fiber is good. We want fiber in our diet. It's going to help with bowel movements. It adds bulk to our stools. It slows the rate of digestion. But we don't want sugar, and especially not added sugar. So we can see with this yogurt, there's 24 grams of carbs, no fiber. 23 of those grams are sugar, and of those, 11 are added. So what would that be? 12 of them are just naturally in the yogurt as lactose, the milk sugar, but 11 of them are added sugar to make it taste sweet. Now this was just mandated last year that all companies have to add this column of added sugars, which I think is a huge victory, to be able to clearly see how much of that sugar is naturally occurring in the product versus how much is added. The unfortunate thing, it was supposed to all be in place by July of 2018, but the current administration pushed it off for another year. So now they don't have to comply until July of 2019. So you'll see some products do have it listed, but a majority of the ones that need to don't. So they're going to wait till the very last minute. But if you do see this, this is going to be very helpful for the challenge, because we don't want to see added sugars on the label. So here are the aliases of sugar. So when you're looking at the ingredients and things, which is right under the nutrition facts, you look at the ingredients, these are the things you want to look for. And the further up the ingredient list they are, the more prevalent they are in that product. Okay, so you want to find, if you do see these, you want to find them toward the bottom of the ingredient list. So pretty much anything ending in ose is going to be a sugar. Anything that has syrup in the name, anything that has sugar in the name, anything that has juice in the name, all of those are going to be things we want to stay away from. All right, so let's look at an example. And I know this is small, they make them so small, but this is on the back of a Cliff Bar. Okay, so you can see the ingredients listed here. The first one, so that means this is the most prevalent item in this product, is organic brown rice syrup. Basically organic sugar. Okay, so that's the first ingredient. 2 ingredients down, we have cane syrup, and 5 ingredients down, we have dried cane syrup. 2 different things apparently. So that means there's a lot of sugar in this Cliff Bar that a lot of people think is a healthy option. 21 grams of sugar. A Snickers bar has 20 grams of sugar. So see what I mean? We've got to be informed consumers. We're thinking, oh, the Cliff Bar, that's healthy. I should have that right after my workout. Really? It's got more sugar than a Snickers bar in it. So I want you guys to be able to delve through these food labels and kind of see what you're looking at. Another example with the vanilla yogurt. Okay, this is again before they added the added sugar, but you can see there's 18 grams of total sugar in the product. And I know this is super hard to read, but it contains sugar, corn syrup, sugar is listed again about 5 items down, and then dextrose. So 4 different code names for sugar listed in that. This top product is a Nature Valley granola bar. You can see the second ingredient is sugar, a 5th ingredient is honey, and the 7th ingredient is brown sugar syrup. The next one, as we would think for candy corn, there's a lot of sugar. The first 2 ingredients are sugar. So obviously there, but you guys, producers are really smart. They realize that if we can break up and add different types of sweeteners in here, it won't be the first ingredient potentially. Okay, so that's why there are all these different types. It shows up a little bit down the list a little bit, except for candy corn. Some other comparisons. A pack of Gushers and vanilla yogurt, same amount of sugar. Remember, what are our teaspoons to remember for females? 6 for females is the limit. Males? 9. So good. You guys can kind of get an idea here. Oreo cookies, 3 of them, the same as a Luna bar. Spaghetti sauce, this is a tricky one, okay? Because there are some good ones. I'm going to point one out, but this one, 12.5 teaspoons of sugar, more than a pack of M&Ms. Crazy. And then we talked about the drinks, the juices having just as much sugar as sodas. So another one I have to point out, I can't go without mentioning this, a 20-ounce bottle of Coke, 65 grams of sugar. 65 grams. Guys, that's 16 teaspoons of sugar. Crazy, right? Remember, 6 for women, 9 for men. The research shows that if you drink a 20-ounce Coke every day for a year, you are guaranteed to gain 26 pounds in that year, just from the Coke. So definitely something we need to remove from our diet, from our children's diet. It doesn't need to be anywhere. So some good products, all right, guys? These are staples in our home because they have no added sugar. So we all need a good salsa, right? This one's called Green Mountain Gringo. We get it at Earth Fair, but you can see here, it's got 1 gram of sugar, but 0 added sugar. So totally challenge compliant because it is the natural sugar from the tomatoes, okay? Same thing with spaghetti sauce. We all need a good spaghetti sauce. This Rao brand, R-A-O, this one has 3 grams of sugar, but 0 added sugar. So again, the sugar's only from the tomatoes. And then we need a nut butter, right? So this peanut butter is good. Most peanut butters have added sugar, but this Smucker's Natural has 0 added sugars. Okay, so it stinks because you have to stir it. Nobody likes that part, but it's definitely going to be a lot better option than the ones that add sugar to it. All right, the other thing you guys need to make this go successfully is a sauce. You know, you need some options for sauces. So any of these are going to be really good in terms of a salad dressing, because trust me, I looked down every salad dressing aisle at 4 different grocery stores. There is none that doesn't have at least a gram of sugar per teaspoon or tablespoon, 2 tablespoon serving size. So I'm going to make the exception if you have regular ranch dressing, like Nate here, you can't live without it. It's 1 gram of sugar and 2 tablespoons. I'm going to hold you to 2 tablespoons. You don't need to be covering it with ranch dressing, but it's not going to throw this off, okay? So if that's all you have is traditional ranch dressing, there's a gram of sugar, it's going to be okay. Okay, but there are some better options. Tessemae's has a creamy organic ranch. They have no sugar in it. The Primal Kitchen line of salad dressings, you can get these at Earth Fair, you can get them on Amazon. They have no sugar in them. The only one that does is the honey mustard, but that's obvious, right? Can't really have honey mustard. Mayo is another great thing to be able to use. Primal Kitchen has a great line. You could also use Duke mayonnaise because it has no sugar. It doesn't have the best oil in it, but we're gonna just focus on the sugars for this.
Jess, at any point, do you need to worry about total sugars, not added sugars, but just total sugars and anything?
I think some people do. I mean, if your goal is weight loss and you have a lot of weight to lose, I think yes. But for this, I don't care. You could really eat all the fruit, all the sweet potatoes that you are satiated by and be okay because you're cutting out the added stuff.
Like these RX bars, like I was just looking up. So they've got 15 grams of sugar, no added sugar, but 15 grams.
Right, and because
for a tiny little bar,
they're
that's
dried fruit, and that's not, I'm going to get to that too, but
Okay.
dried fruit is too much condensed sugar.
Too
So
much.
yeah, RX bars, Lara bars, they're all going to be off.
Okay.
Yeah, just too much condensed.
Even
So
if
yes.
it's not added.
Yep,
Okay.
and that's a great question. So there are a few exceptions with the natural sugars, and dried fruit is one of them. Dried fruit and fruit juice are going to be good.
Jess, are the keto bars good?
What are the keto bars?
They're the ones we order on Amazon.
Probably not, because they're going to have some type of sweetener. So
Okay.
there's no sweeteners allowed for the
Okay.
detox, just because we're trying to get our taste buds to change and not crave the sweeteners. So most keto bars will have either erythritol, which is a sugar alcohol that doesn't spike insulin or blood sugar, or they'll have stevia. So no sweetener whatsoever is allowed for this. Yes, that's a good question. And then of course hot sauce, regular mustard, oil and vinegar if you want to just make your own simple salad dressing. All of these are going to be good. All right, so let's get to the yes detox foods. What can we have? All right, so lots of protein, meats, seafood, poultry, pork, and you can do any cut of meat. It could be a ribeye steak, it could be a sirloin steak, it could be any type of steak. Same thing with seafood, same thing with poultry. It could be the dark meat chicken, it could be the light meat chicken. Bacon is fine. Try to find one that doesn't have maple syrup in the ingredients. Cold cuts are fine. Again, there are a lot of them out there that have no sugar, but some do, especially if you have like a brown sugar cured ham or something. So just look on the labels when you're getting something like that. Eggs, definitely the whole egg. Eat the yolk for sure. Vegetables, so all vegetables, even including our starchy carbs like potatoes, sweet potatoes, winter squash, the butternut squash, parsnips, beets, all of that stuff is allowed. And if you're a CrossFitter or an Evo fitter that's really trying to gain muscle, these would be great things to add around your workouts. Okay, it's going to help a lot because that's where you're going to get some of those starches. Fruit, of course, except canned or dried fruit. Okay, so just fruit in its whole natural form. Salad dressings, again, with 1 gram of sugar or less per 2 tablespoons will be fine. Mayo, any mayo, but actually not any mayo, because I did look at this for a long time too. A lot of them have added sugar. Duke's, like I said, is one that does not, and then the Primal Kitchen also does not. For cooking, coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil, or butter are going to be great options. Nuts and seeds, nut butters, of course, looking for the ones with no added sugar in them. Unsweetened almond and coconut milk, you can find that in the milk section. And then full fat dairy. So this is where one way it's a lot different than paleo, is that we can have full fat dairy because it doesn't have added sugar, just the natural lactose. So all of these things are going to be allowed. Full fat cheese, cream cheese, cottage cheese, heavy cream, half and half, even whole milk, but not skim milk, not 2%, because those have more of the milk sugars than the whole milk. Sour cream is allowed because the 1 gram of sugar in sour cream is from lactose, so it's not added to the product. And then, of course, plain yogurt. Okay, again, one that has no added sugar in it. Some more yes foods. We talked about coffee. These are our options of what we can put in our coffee if we don't like it black. And don't be afraid to use coffee as a crutch in the first few days because you're going to feel a little bit lethargic. It definitely helps to have maybe an afternoon cup of coffee. Unsweetened tea or herbal teas, sparkling water, club soda, or seltzer water, but avoid tonic water. A lot of people, including myself, didn't know the difference between tonic water and club soda. Tonic water has a ton of sugar in it. Okay, so definitely don't order tonic. And you'll taste it when if you're used to like a LaCroix and then you ask for tonic water, it's a lot different. Water with lemon or lime would be great. Vinegar, spices and herbs, beans, so again, different from paleo, even hummus would be included here. And then grains, so different from paleo as well. Breads, rice, pasta, and quinoa, as long as you're not seeing the added sugar. And this is hard, especially with bread and pasta. So again, I was that crazy lady that was down every aisle looking at these things. And this is the closest I found. This brand is called Nature's Own Whole Wheat Bread. It says less than 1 gram of sugar, okay? So if you have to have a piece of bread, that's gonna be a much better option than something like Wonder Bread, who has 5 grams of added sugar in it. Okay, so you can look at those labels and just kind of try to find the best option. In terms of pasta, the only ones that had 0 sugar were the gluten-free variety, which is better for you in general. So the gluten-free pasta or the no yolks also had 0 grams of added sugar. Rice was a winner on every front. So see, I enlisted my daughter to help me with this. And so we found that jasmine, white rice, and brown rice are all 0 added sugar. So that would be a great, again, post-workout carb for those of you really trying for muscle gain. Rice is a good option there. And then the biggest question I've had since talking about this challenge is, what about alcohol? Okay, so for alcohol, because I want more people to be involved in this, I am allowing hard liquor with a mixer only. So that means no beer, that means no wine or champagne, too much added sugar and carbs. But any of these mixed with like a club soda, seltzer water, lots of lemon or lime juice would be okay. Now, you guys all know that alcohol is a toxin to our bodies just the way sugar is. So if you're really trying to detox this month, I would try to get away from this. But if you have a special occasion or something, that is an acceptable option. All right, so if you're interested in the fruits that have the lowest amount of sugar in them, again, all fruits are allowed, but these are the ones that have the lowest. Okay, so obviously lemons and limes, any type of berries, grapefruit, green apples like the Granny Smith apples, cantaloupe, peaches, cherries, and watermelon. All right, so any questions on the yes foods before we get to the no foods? Yes, Dave.
Are there portions here?
Nope.
Really?
We're just cutting out the sugars. Yep. if you need guidance, I'll be happy to give you some guidance, but this is just cutting out the sugars. Yep. It's funny because you really will feel your natural satiety hormone kick in more when you cut these things out of your diet. You will hear that leptin, that hormone signaling. Maybe you don't hear it, like you don't fill up. You know, you're like, wow, I'm never full. I could eat and never get full. That's going to change quickly when we get some of these inflammatory foods out of our system. All right, so the no foods. First, obviously, is sugar. So that's what we're looking for on food labels. Again, the only exception is going to be the 1 gram or less in the protein, the 1 gram or less in the dressings, salad dressings. Sweeteners, like we mentioned, even the artificial sweeteners, the sugar alcohols, natural sweeteners like Truvia and stevia as well. Low fat and non-fat dairy, because again, those have more sugar in them. Fruit juice, soda, of course, dried fruit, beer, and wine. Okay, so I fit that all on one slide, you guys. The good foods had more than one slide. It's all you got to eliminate right there. So one thing I have to warn you about is what we call the sugar or carb flu, because that's what happens when we cut sugar and high carb foods out of our diet. So some of the symptoms you may face: fatigue, you might be more tired than usual for the first few days, sugar withdrawals. So you might actually start sweating when you have cravings, and it's definitely happened to people. Remember, sugar is an addictive drug. Of course, sugar cravings, possible digestive distress. So I always like to warn people about this. When you're changing your diet, you're changing your gut microbiome. And when that happens, it might not settle well. So there could be some diarrhea, there could be some constipation, there could be some gas and bloating, but it's just until those good gut bugs outweigh the bad. Okay, so just in the beginning, when you're taking out the sugars, it could be the first week or so, but that should normalize. Okay, headaches and leg cramps. These two are symptoms of dehydration more than anything. So what happens when we bring the amount of sugar in our diet down, that hormone insulin comes down. When insulin comes down, our kidneys stop retaining sodium, potassium, magnesium, the important electrolytes. So in that case, we really do want to replenish salt, potassium, and magnesium. So on a standard diet, your doctor says don't add salt to your food, don't eat any more salt. On a diet that's low sugar, you really do want to add salt to your food. And if you get a headache, it's really important to make sure that pink Himalayan sea salt is really good because it has other trace minerals in it as well. Salt your food with that. Same thing with the leg cramps. That's usually a magnesium deficiency. Eating lots of green leafy things will help with that consumption of magnesium. Moodiness, of course, as we're trying to get off the blood sugar roller coaster. Just warn your family, your co-workers, anybody that's going to be around you. So some ways we can combat these things, like I mentioned, the salt, that's going to be a big help. Caffeine, coffee in the afternoon if you need it. Water, so definitely water. Anytime we're detoxing our body, you want to flush the toxins, so at least half of your body weight in ounces is a good calculation for water. Okay, so carry a bottle around with you all day long that you can be sipping on and refilling. And then have compliant snacks with you. Be prepared. Okay, so things like nuts, fruit, cheese sticks, deli meat, hard-boiled eggs, holy guacamole, individual packs, little things that you can have on hand when you do start craving sugar. A lot of times your body just needs something. So have something, have some salt on it, and those cravings will go away. The data shows that after 3 days of doing a sugar detox, 53% of people will be done with cravings. And after 6 days, 86% of people will be completely over the cravings. So that's promising. It tells us usually by the first week or so, those cravings will be gone and you'll be feeling good. Okay, so some benefits. Energy increase, sustained energy. If you're used to having that afternoon slump where you need a nap or a cup of coffee or a soda, that will be gone. You'll feel steady energy throughout the day. Performance increases in the gym, which is really fun to see. We see it all the time at like the 1 month mark in our paleo challenge, even the 3 week mark when people are really cutting down on the sugars. Fat loss, again, now our body is able to tap in to that refrigerator that we have. The lock is open. Better mood. Reduced inflammation, which is huge because inflammation, again, is at the root of all the chronic diseases. So when we're cutting out the toxins from our diet, our inflammation goes down. Better sleep, and then, of course, loss of the cravings and controlled appetite. So again, I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, but it will be worth it. So what's the support throughout the detox? We're going to do the Facebook group. As always, I think that's so valuable because it allows us to connect away from the gym and really just have everybody post recipes, post ideas. You can complain in there. You can vent to me and everybody. You can ask me questions. I'll be there for you guys to make sure you're staying on track. You can always email me if you have more questions. And then many of our coaches are doing it. So we've got Nate and Kyle here, or not Kyle, Tyler here. I don't know where Kyle is, but he should be here. And I think mostly all of our coaches are doing it. I think there's a little bet going, right? Is there a bet going on? So they'll be, and Philip too. So awesome. So if you have questions in the class that you're working out in, you can always ask the coach that's there too, and they're gonna be there to help you and give you pointers and ideas as well. If you would like to see how your body composition changes over the course of the month, we have the InBody scanner, which is amazing. It'll tell us where you're starting in terms of body fat percentage, muscle mass, body water, and how that changes. We could do another scan at the end of the challenge as well. So we would see the difference there before and after. The cost of that is $25 per scan to do the before and after scan.